So, I want to talk today about how you can actually start living your best life. Seriously, it's not complicated. It seems overwhelming. Once you start understanding the framework of a lot of the points that we're going to talk about today, it starts becoming very simple. The points that I might be making might seem so simple that it's like too good to be true. But in my experience and what I've seen in shifts of people that I love in their lives, it really is very simple. It's just getting started seems overwhelming because we don't know where to start. We're just being told from so many different online influencers and self-help videos just like this. Just start, just do it, change your life right now. And believe me, if waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and drinking lemon water with Himalayan salt and getting 20 minutes of infrared light and grounding outside on grass works for you, then by all means do it. For a lot of people, that is very overwhelming to hear. In a world where not everybody has access to all of that. Not everybody has access to all of that time. Fresh cut grass that they could step on outside first thing in the morning. Getting natural sunlight on their bodies first thing. It might seem like this is too good to be true. So let's get started. I am so excited to share this because a lot of this is very personal to me as well. So the first thing that I want to talk about is if you have access to any kind of healthcare, talk to your doctor about how you're doing physically, get a checkup, look at where you're at in life, and do an assessment to see how you are. Because if you're struggling health-wise or mental health-wise, it is very important to have help during those times and not just rely on people like me on the internet. Because at the end of the day, my life is completely different than yours. And there might be parallels that work for me and that I see working for people that I've spoken to or in my life in one way or another, but those parallels are never going to be one-to-one to the life that you're living. So I might have my routine that works for me and it will not work for you based on what you might have going on. First things first, always get checked before embarking on any kind of self-help journey. Okay, so now we're going to get into how can you start actually changing who you are for the better. It really just comes down to, do you know yourself? Do you know who you really are as a person? Oftentimes, we go through life and we don't even know who we are. We might think we know who we are based on past experiences or things that used to make us happy or we thought made us happy. But have we ever stopped and actually reflected? Before I took the personality quiz to see what type of personality I was, I had no idea where I really aligned with the world. I knew that I had interests, but I didn't know how to cultivate those interests. So I always considered myself extroverted. I always thought I like going out. I like being around people. I like being out in the world. I love walking around New York City. I love going to people's houses, right? There was always an element when I would put myself in situations like that where I would kind of be disappointed that I went against the grain of who I was. So if I wanted to get invited to somebody's house and I was there, I would usually at a certain point be like, I really kind of wish I stayed home and did the things that I wanted to do. But when you start understanding where you align on the spectrum of how many different people are in the world, who you are in comparison to other people that you might be interacting with, you might start to see, wait a second, I took this personality quiz and I answered truthfully and it says I'm introverted. And that's what happened in my case. It said that I was an INFP and I didn't even know what that meant. But when I looked into what INFP's sort of personality types are, it was almost spot on to who I am. And it felt so validated to look at that and be like, oh my God, all of those years that I just wanted to stay in my room and play guitar and create music or walk around New York City by myself with my headphones on and not have to go to some bar or club with people. But I always put myself in situations in high school and in college and after college where I felt like I needed to, and I was always disappointed. So the part about getting to know yourself is so vital to this whole journey that you're going to be on. Because if you don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to cultivate your likes or dislikes, right? Think about it. If you're going on a date with somebody that you're really vibing with and you got to know them very well, you're going to have a good idea of how to plan the next get together and how to navigate what the two of you are going to do, right? But if you don't know that person very well, you're kind of shooting in the dark and hoping something sticks. And maybe that person might not have the courage to tell you that it's something that they don't like, and you're both going against your grain. At the end of the day, understanding who you are as a person fundamentally is the most vital piece that I promise you will create more clarity in your world of what you want and what you don't want. You could start doing this by thinking, outside of taking the Myers-Briggs personality test, if you don't want to go through that, right? Just start thinking. You don't have to write things down if you don't want to. Just start thinking about, what do I really like? What aligns with me? Do I like being extroverted and going out and being a party planner and being around a lot of people? I do. Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I can start to put myself in more social situations and not isolate as much as I have been lately, because that's where I get my energy from being around people. And if you're the opposite, then you can start to say no, period, because no, period, is a sentence, and you don't have to please others before you satisfy yourself. When I started really learning my likes and dislikes in life, it instantly started to transform me. I started saying yes to myself and no to the things that didn't align with me. I like comparing this to like a palm tree, right? Palm trees are tall, they're strong, they're flexible, and they bend, right? They don't break with the wind. So we can't just do all of the things in life that we want to do for ourselves without being flexible to other people and other needs in the world. If we're so rigid, we're being very selfish. It's got to be a balance. But the balance should always, in my opinion, favor yourself and not others, and not expectations of others. If you want to stay in on a Saturday night and you're invited somewhere, stay in. You don't have to go. You don't have to explain to them either. You could just say, I don't want to go. Or, if that sounds too harsh, I'm sorry, I can't make it, period. Why can't you make it? I'm busy, period. That is so much better than coming up with all of these different excuses, aka little doors that you're leaving open for people to poke holes in it, because they might feel that you're undecided, and then it's their decision to sway you in a direction. And how many times has that happened? How many times has that happened in your life? It's happened in my life 1,000,000 times. I don't really want to do something. I get invited somewhere. I kind of say no in an indirect way, and before I know it, I'm doing it and probably doing more than I actually wanted to do in the first place. So getting to know yourself and your likes and dislikes is a pivotal first step. I can't stress that enough in the best possible way. Once you do a really good job and in-depth analysis of who you are as a person and what brings you joy and what repels you, you're going to start to notice patterns of those things in your life. If you are somebody that leans introverted like me, you might notice a lot of extroverted things that I used to do that were my pattern don't bring me the joy that I thought that they did. If anything, they bring me stress and they bring me a pit in my stomach when I think of it. As you start establishing patterns of things that aren't aligning with you, becoming aware of patterns is, like I said before with that pivotal first step, is the first step of this next step, if that makes any sense. So if you don't understand the patterns that you've been subjected to that bring you down or bring you up, it's going to be very difficult for you to make any change at all. A lot of times people, when they notice the pattern of who they are, they go down the dark road of shame and they say, man, I can't believe that I did this, or I can't believe that I said yes to this when I really didn't want to. I can't believe I ate that insert whatever if it's unhealthy. I can't believe I stayed up late and drank. I can't believe I X, Y, and Z, whatever. Instead of saying or thinking, that's a pattern of mine. This has been something that I've dealt with my whole life. Like any other muscle in the human body, changes don't happen overnight. They start little by little. So becoming aware of something being a pattern and taking little small steps to try to change that moment by moment is the first way to attack something like that. If you're out and your intention is, I want to be healthy tonight, I don't want to eat unhealthy, but I'm going out with people that put a lot of unhealthy stuff on the table. They don't care. They don't really know the journey that I'm on. They're just kind of thinking about what they want. And I know that if they order it, I'm going to eat all of it and I'm going to feel like crap. Okay, well, first off, that's a very defeatist mentality going in, right? You're probably going to go in feeling a little bit of shame and guilt and stress. And what happens when we feel shameful and filled with guilt and filled with stress? We tend to make bad decisions. But if we can approach it and say, okay, I'm in control. I'm in control of the situation. They're not in control of me. Other people are not in control of me. If I don't want to go, I don't have to go. If I do want to go, but I don't want to eat unhealthily, well, maybe I could eat before I go. And I could feel like I have a base, and I don't have to worry about tons of junk food being on the table that I'm going to be tempted to consume because I'm already taken care of. I think in life, we've heard people use defeatist terminologies all the time, and it's really difficult to use a defeatist mindset and gain any kind of intrinsic reward from it. It's all about how we talk to ourselves in those situations, right? Any kind of situation of adversity, we are in control. Any kind of problem we face in the world, we're in control of it. We're in control of how we respond to it. Other people are not in control of our emotions. I think that when we start to look at old patterns of who we used to be from that mindset of I am in control right now. It doesn't matter what happened to me in the past. It doesn't matter what happened to me years ago when I was a kid and I didn't have the mental bandwidth that I have now, right? When we live our lives from that sort of perspective, we really do feel unstoppable. Well, like, I am the only person that can make this decision for me. Other people can't. If I leave it up to other people, they might decide something that's against my moral fiber. And then we're feeling low and feeling like we're misunderstood and we're never going to be happy, right? How many times have we been there? Morning routines are great, journaling is amazing, and all of these different things that are placeholders for the ultimate goal that we want to get to, which is changing the way that we see ourselves in the world, right? If we journal, it might give us some useful intel as to what's coming out of our subconscious, right? If you're not a writer and you find journaling to be stressful, you don't have to. You don't have to be a Zen monk that sits in the middle of a field and meditates for 4 hours to close your eyes and to reflect about who you are as a person, right? It all comes down to just tiny little things that we can do to start to shift the pendulum in a different direction. So now that you know who you are a little better, you can start to fill your life with the things that you actually align with, rather than filling your life with the things that I used to do it this way, so I'm always going to do it this way kind of things, right? How many times have you heard somebody say, well, this is how we always do it? Well, it might not be the right way, but it's how you always do it. So therefore, it must be right? Now it's time for you to fill your life with the things that actually bring you intrinsic joy. You know, when people talk about being on a diet and how restriction doesn't work as well as other forms of healthy lifestyle changes? Well, I remember somebody telling me, if you're drinking soda all day, don't just stop drinking soda, right? Start to implement something healthy in the process of you still drinking soda every day. And as you implement something a little at a time, it will start to take over. And then before you know it, you might not be even drinking soda at all anymore, right? That's why crash dieting doesn't work, because you're just going from what your old pattern was 100%, stopping all of those things, and then re-implementing something new that is, you don't even know if you like it or not. So you have to test things out to see if you like it. If you start implementing things in your life more and more that you love, the things that you don't love will start to fall by the wayside. So if you're somebody that leans introverted like me, and you start saying yes to having relaxing evenings at home by yourself, with your partner, with your family, with your siblings, whoever it is, right? Those moments are going to start to take over in a better way. And you're going to be left with less decision fatigue of, what should I do? Oh my God, I'm saying yes to this and I don't want to do it tonight. I don't want to do that tomorrow. Why did I sign up for it? If you want to get into better shape, so start doing something little by little every day, whether it's a short walk by yourself or with friends, stretching in front of the TV at night when you're watching TV, whatever it is to you, little by little, to start to show your body and your mind that you're capable of doing it. So now that you've filled your life with the things that you really love, and you have a good framework for what we just talked about, of adding things into your life instead of removing everything right away, I believe one of the most important pieces of this entire journey is to make friends with your demons. Make friends with the things in life that you are running away from and scared of. In the process of adding really beautiful things into your life that you've never done before or never really cultivated, there can start to be balance change of, you could start to look at the things that you're doing like, I have to do it this way and I can never do it this way, right? But if you have that attitude, you're still thinking in a way where there's a self-limiting negative association to everything, to certain things. A good example of that is if you're adding really healthy things into your life and you hate all the unhealthy stuff, well, you're still restricting in that way, right? If you don't make peace with the fact that every now and then it might be okay for you to give into something that you really want in the moment if it brings you joy. If you're deciding between doing something and there's shame and guilt attached to it, making friends with the shame and the guilt and realizing that you are who you are now, not who you used to be and not who you're going to be in 10 years from now. You are who you are now. So if you want something in your life and it's not hurting anybody else and it's not hurting yourself, then figure out a way to get it. If you can make peace with your past self and your present self and your future self for whatever decision was made and whatever decision you ultimately will make, you're golden. You're unstoppable. You will be living a better life. Then you've shifted the paradigm because the old way wasn't working. You were waking up, you might not be feeling great about who you are, you're stuck in a rut, you don't really know what to do to change it. So instead of figuring out little ways to change it, we used to just keep living our lives. But when you shift the paradigm and you get to a place where you're confident that you can do it because you're showing yourself that you are, I will tell you that running away from your demons will always make you unhappy. Always. When you are running away from your traumas in life or your feelings that are who you are at your fiber, that have shaped you for so long, and you are avoiding them, then you will be living your life in fight or flight, whether you know it or don't. And it might manifest in ways of anger or shame or guilt or sadness or hopelessness or despair, because it's like the term learned helplessness of the flies that couldn't jump out of the cup. Once you make friends with and accept the parts of you that you don't love, you will start to love your full self, right? You will start to look at your anger or your shame or your guilt a little differently. That's just a part of where my mind used to go. That's not who I am. I am not an angry person. I choose consciously to reframe anger into something different. When you're aligning with who you are and who you've always been at your core, and you're aligned on that side, 95% of the 100% of who you are, right? That other 5% doesn't matter anymore. But when you're not aligning with who you are, you could still be 60-40 or 70-30 or 80-20, but you're going to focus on the negativity over the positivity. That's the conundrum, right? Is that you could have a million things going on in your life that are really good, but you're just focusing on the bad because you're avoiding it. You're avoiding confronting it. And once you start confronting it, believe me, your life will change. You will start doing things that you thought that you weren't capable of doing. Backstory, I've talked about this in another video. I used to have no energy at all. I would come home from work and not want to do anything. My wife, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, at the time would always want to go on walks in the evening, and I wouldn't want to do it. I was so tired from just walking off the train to the office, sitting at the office all day, eating like crap, drinking too much coffee, getting back on the train, coming home, being a part of the rat race, not understanding that my anxiety and my anger was holding me back in life. And I didn't have any energy to do anything that I wanted to do. I wasn't working out. I tried to work out. I lost interest. I tried to do exercise programs. I lost interest. I did the same thing that a lot of people in life do, which is live the same year every year, where January through March I would have this newfound excitement to change my life, and then by March, April, May, I forgot about it. And then I only cared about trying to look good in a bathing suit, and then I would repeat the cycle. In the fall, through the Christmas time, it would be, hibernating, unhealthy eating, and then repeating the cycle over and over again. When I started changing my life from who I was at the core and aligning with what my wants and needs really were, I had more energy. I started doing things. A lot of you know that I signed up for a jiu-jitsu class in 2022, and I've been doing it ever since. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. I do jiu-jitsu. I also go to the gym. I work full days. I travel around the entire US all the time for work, and it's one of my favorite things to do, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. I have more energy now in my late 30s than I did when I was in my early 20s. And it's something that if you would have told me back then, when you're older, you're going to be doing more and you're going to be more relaxed, I would have said, absolutely not, no way. I drink less coffee. I used to drink like 4 or 5 cups a day. And now I have 1 in the morning and that's it, because I'm properly hydrated and I eat enough protein now, where back in the day I didn't. So I was living my life in this like really depleted place, and I didn't understand why I was unhappy, and I was miserable, really, to be honest with you. I was a functioning, miserable person. And I think a lot of you in the world can relate to being a functionally miserable person, especially in the current landscape of life right now. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can change. I don't want to be that cliche guy that says if I could do it, anybody can. But my entire baseline of my entire life was an unhappy sort of frame that I was in. People on the outside might have thought that I was happy, but I was not happy at all. And if I was able to shift things little by little and focus on the journey and the process, because that's the final point I want to make, focus on the process. Do not be results oriented. If you're results oriented, it's going to be like trying to meditate. When you try to meditate, you're out of it. When you try to close your eyes and get into a flow state and it has to be perfect, it rarely happens. But it's usually the times where you relieve yourself of the pressure of having to just function in a way that you think you need to, where you actually achieve a flow state. So if you're focusing on every little detail in life as a result, you're going to be really unhappy because you're not going to see results. But if you're focusing on the long term and the process of what you are able to do every day, and when you do slip, because we all slip, focusing on course correction rather than I failed, I give up, I feel like crap, I feel shame, I'm not going to do it anymore, what's the point? In my opinion, course correction is such a useful way to look at it, because we're going to run into, it's like water flowing on the beach in the sand, right? If it finds a groove, it's going to go down that groove. If that groove gets blocked, it's going to find another groove. We have to look at every opportunity in life like that. If you take everything one moment at a time, it will all compound. And you'll start living differently. And you might not feel it right away. I promise you, if you keep going, you will. And then you'll be somebody that can share this with all of your loved ones and all of the people in life that you care about, if you pick up on the clues that they might not be living the life that they want to live. I am so proud of anybody that clicks on something like this, because it shows me and it tells me that you want to change for the better. You're not happy with where things are at, and that's okay, because you have right now to shift that. You could shift that thought right now, even if it's just 1 hour in today or however long it takes, even if it's just one time in the 24 hours where you think of, I might want to live my life a little differently, then that's a great start. And the next day, if it's 2 minutes of thinking of that, and the next day it's 4 minutes, and so on, it will compound into you living a better life. So I hope you enjoyed this. I love making this kind of content. I never thought that I'd be somebody that would be this passionate about helping others, because I never was able to help myself. I never thought I'd be somebody that would be in a position where I can do this. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And if there's anything else that you have found has helped you or hurt you, or something that you want to add to this, please, by all means, comment below. Let's start a discussion about this, because I want to talk about this more. I think if we fill our lives with the things that really align with us more, the things that don't align with us will start to fall by the wayside. I believe that. I believe in you. I believe that you are capable of changing your life for the better. You could start right now. You don't have to pay a course. You don't have to spend a ton of money and get all the best supplements. You could start by just being who you are. Learn who you are, love who you are, focus on the things that bring you love and joy. Let the other stuff fall by the wayside. Make friends with the demons that you've been running away from, and you're golden. I promise. Have a great day. Thank you, guys.